Hello, RoahmMythril here once again, getting back to Well-Fortified 3, and it's time for the judge commentary on the first stage of Tier 7. 105th place, Wily's Well-Fortified Room by Squishy Putty. This stage got a 49.4 total, with a 16.4 in design, 10.4 in fun, 7.6 in creativity, 6.8 in aesthetics, and 8.2 in functionality. Mick. Aw, this is a cute premise. Wily's all sad, so his old friend sends Mega Man to cheer him up using excess artillery. Truly a feel-good story. I like the idea, poor text formatting aside, and the welcome mat gag got a small chuckle. Unfortunately, this doesn't extend to the visuals. One of the level's biggest issues is that it looks downright dull. It could really use some more visual flair. Fortunately, the level itself has some entertaining puzzles. I enjoy a good puzzle, and having to figure out the correct order to take out the count bombs to get key pieces is a unique concept. Particular props for the ability to reset the room no matter what. Not only does this make it really hard to get stuck, but you can use partial solutions and room resets to get through here anyway, providing a little more replay value than the average puzzle. For that matter, it's wonderful to see count bombs that step away from the tried and tired timed platforming, and I appreciate the reflect blocks allowing normally effortless enemies to do something. Wrap it up with a decent difficulty curve, and this is off to a solid start. Unfortunately, puzzles do not mix with bullet spam. I'm super thankful for Tornado Blow because most of the level after the 4 peaks is a bit too complex to be puzzling out solutions while dodging hordes of projectiles. Yeah, Tornado Blow was a godsend. The checkpoint placement is solid, and there's enough pickups strewn about to balance things so I don't need to abuse W-tanks, but the place really needs to shoot at us less. Again, I enjoy a good puzzle, but this is still pretty rough around the edges. Considering there are other sections that are just dodging, I think leaving out the extra bullets in the puzzles would have been just fine. Instead of being all bullets all the time, having the contrasts between turret fortifications and puzzle fortifications might have made a better level. Shinryu. I know that one message box was probably meant to be a joke, but I'd honestly be surprised if this level got last place. Granted, it does have its fair share of issues, but it's definitely not the worst of the worst. Throughout this stage, there were 2 major things that stuck out to me: the reflect block puzzles and the token room. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the sections in between, since nearly every other obstacle here involves the same setup: small reflect blocks placed in front of an enemy, or occasionally having to avoid projectiles while waiting for count bombs to detonate. And there's unfortunately not much variety to break these segments up. The only exception to this are the puzzle rooms, which I found to be rather decent. The downside is there's only 3 of them, and they don't exactly make up for the rest of the level. Then there's the token room, which I found to be pretty irritating. I get the general idea behind it, but the problem is that using Magnet Beam, or any weapon for that matter, in such a short window while going through a screen transition is very finicky. Fire too soon, and your input won't register. Fire too late, and you'll be too high up to land on the beam. The checkpoint being right next to it somewhat mitigates the frustration factor here, and it's certainly easier to get the token by using Rush Bike instead, but I don't think it fully excuses it either. Huh. You can get that with Rush Bike. Interesting. Overall, if those puzzle segments had a greater presence, and got a bit more refined as the level went on, I could see myself enjoying this one a bit more. In its current state, though, not so much. Patchy. The text formatting is all over the place. Certainly, a review by Patchy. The graphics could use a bit of work. A lot of blank space in the background leaves the level overall looking barren. Not usually a fan of text box-driven narrative-based levels, and this is no exception. Rather be playing games than reading books. Who even reads? Reading is for nerds. I kid. I know going over the judge commentary is an important part of this. Seeing how the different judges viewed different things, those differing priorities and points of view, I think that's interesting and important for a contest like this. I just really couldn't resist making a joke about having to read 5 walls of text per stage played after that comment from Patchy. Also, before we resume, my most sincere thanks to my friend Neo for enabling my shenanigans with this art. As always, very much appreciated. Check the video description for links to his socials, and if you want, consider tossing a commission his way. Anyway, a lot of reflect blocks in this stage, perhaps too many. It does make some of the enemies less trivial with the blocks in place, I guess. On the other hand, it's extremely annoying to be constantly pummeled by shots as you try to solve some of the room puzzles. I would have enjoyed the idea of the falling block puzzles if it weren't for the enemy problem. The reflect block spam becomes so prominent that it really isn't fun for a buster-only playthrough, as evidenced by the puzzle rooms and the boss. The stage would have probably been better off focusing on expanding the puzzle elements as opposed to a mixture of puzzle and combat. Speaking of the boss, I can kinda see the idea behind it, the beaks on the wall serving as support fires while you try to dodge the fast-moving eyeballs, but that projectile threat is immediately neutralized with the use of a single tornado blow. Flashman 85. Between the fun premise, gimmicks that emphasize the well-fortified theme, and effective minimalistic graphics, I'm especially fond of the background decorations. I think there's the start of a good level here. Many elements could be improved though, and I'd rather focus on them for the sake of your next level than celebrate the mild positives that remain. Sorry, I complain because I care. Projectile spam is a concern. I wish the welcome mat key were actually hidden under something. The boss fight is interesting, but it's a shame we don't get to see Wily afterward. As a courtesy, the spike should explode along with the boss. In several places, it's possible to screen transition into a wall. Kaboom! I found 3 ways to soft block the level, 2 involving key doors and 1 involving the energy element. I wondered if the setup of that room meant that there were places that could fall that the player might not be able to get it. Like, with there being small areas where there's a 1-tile gap between the ceiling and blocks, it's a small chance, but if the element falls up there, yeah, that could be an issue. Spelling and text formatting issues make the story hard to follow, and the note about not having certain weapons was genuinely confusing until I realized it was supposed to be a joke. At point-blank range, you can shoot through invincible blocks. Wait, you can? Okay, didn't know that. Which is an inherent trait of that dev kit object, but one that the ubiquitous enemy behind an invincible block challenges never guard against. The puzzle challenges aren't entirely intuitive, and it's never taught that the player can slide across gaps into a shaft. Learning curve in general could be better. I see that the challenges kind of get harder as they go, but that's not the same as training and then testing the player. All the most egregious pitfalls are avoided at least. Length, difficulty, and checkpoint power-up frequency are within acceptable parameters. The layout is comfortably linear. With well-hidden secrets, the first one made me laugh, the second one is clever but needs retooling. Puzzle rooms can be reset at will, the music fits, the story progresses at a good pace. These positives are key, but there's more to unlock. And A-Spark. Puzzle levels have an uphill battle in stage design contests. In this case, the puzzles aren't too bad. They do require knowledge of Mega Man mechanics, namely that gaps in the floor can be slid over. This is fine, but that is basically the only real twist this stage ever pulls. Unfortunately, my large takeaway from the level is that it was repetitive and quickly devolved into the uninteresting. And of course, the use of enemies hiding behind indestructible blocks quickly became obnoxious, especially the toss machines. Personally, I think the stage would have worked better without them. It becomes rather hard to pay attention to puzzle setups with curved bullets flying all over the place. Thank goodness for Tornado Blow. Unfortunately, even the enemy challenges between the puzzles felt very samey. The token puzzle took a while to figure out, and I appreciated it, having showcased you do have some other ideas. It's a shame the count bomb falling blocks were elsewhere. The boss was rather awkward and claustrophobic. I always appreciate trying to mix up dev kit bosses, but this just failed the mark. Again, thank goodness for Tornado Blow. The aesthetics frankly hurt the level even further, with spotty cut-off tile work, but my most hated part of the stage might actually be the chosen Wily track. It was designed for only a short segment. Hearing it throughout got super monotonous. I honestly think this level had some real potential. There's some good stuff here, but man, such obnoxious enemies and lack of puzzle variety just kills it for me. So, yeah, I do appreciate a good puzzle level, and the actual puzzle part of this stage, I did enjoy. Enemy fire did get obnoxious though, not gonna lie. It does become a situation of, here, figure this out, oh, and also dance around while you're doing so, which, it can quickly get overwhelming. If it's like more pattern-based shots like just beaks, that's not as bad, but it still can be a bit much. The toss machines, yeah, they definitely tossed a wrench into things. So yeah, glad to have Tornado Blow for this stage. Overall, this stage, it had its ideas and it worked well with them, I think. The puzzles, once you got rid of the enemy threat, solving the puzzles was actually interesting. Kind of logicking out, okay, these blocks are going to fall here, what order do I need them to fall in so I can get the key pieces? And I appreciate that. I appreciate using count bombs in a way beyond the norm. I thought that was a really good idea. The text boxes are a bit janky. The token puzzle, it is very, very precise. First off, to make sure that you get the jump off that bouncer as close to the screen division as you can, so that you have more rising momentum to work with, and thus plenty of time to set a magnet beam. Now, one of the comments said that you could get it with Rush Bike. I'm not quite sure how. I'm not as well versed in using Rush Bike, so that solution would not have occurred to me, but it is interesting that there is an alternate method. I do appreciate that. It does feel like, yeah, Wily should have shown up at the end. Maybe not as a boss, but at least as an NPC or whatever to kind of bring the story home, as it were. But overall, pretty inoffensive stage. I enjoyed it. It was fine. So yeah, not bad. And we're not worrying about that gauntlet until next time. So with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, look upward in anger! Old man shakes fist at forest.